Hello, my name is Debra Fox, and I'll be your instructor today as we go through the How to Become a Better Communicator seminar. Since communication is my favorite topic to train on, you can look forward to a training full of interesting stories, analogies, and learning points that will help you as you begin to make changes in your communication skills. Although this is not an assertive communication seminar, we will touch on some assertive techniques and discussions. What we will focus on instead is how your verbal and/or nonverbal communications may be causing your message to be confusing or misunderstood, and may be causing you to lose credibility. Before we dive into the workbook, I would like to spend a little time discussing the communication roadblocks that you might be dealing with in your workplace or home life. Those communication roadblocks include gender differences, generational differences, cultural differences, and personality differences. I'd like to dive into the personality roadblocks because this is something that every person in every workplace and in every lifestyle deals with on a daily basis. If you'll look at the graphic on the screen, you'll see that I'm going to use the 4 animals today to explain the personality roadblocks to you. On this chart, you will see the peacock, lion, lamb, and owl, and those represent the 4 main personalities that you're dealing with on a daily basis. If you will bracket the left side of that chart, the peacock and the lamb, and write the word people on that side, this indicates that the peacocks and the lambs are extremely people-oriented. They're people and relationship-driven. They love people. They can't get enough of people. They like to party with people. They like to entertain in their home. They like to be on groups at work with people. And those peacocks, they'll come into work in the morning, get a cup of coffee, and they'll walk up and down the halls chatting with people. Now, for those of you who just said to yourself, "That's me, I'm a peacock," let me point something out real quick. You are driving those lions out of their ever-loving mind. We'll come back to that in just a minute. If you'll bracket the other side of the chart, the lions and the owls, and please write the word task. Lions and owls are task-driven. They're motivated by projects, agendas, deadlines, time, use of time, and misuse of time. If you'll bracket the top of the chart, where the peacocks and lions are, and please add high need to direct and outspoken. Peacocks and lions have a really high need to be in charge, or basically they're comfortable being in charge. A lion can pick up a dropped ball and run with it. They'll take it to the bank every single time. And a peacock loves to be front and center, be the center of attention. Now, before I go any farther, let me share this information with you. Nothing that I'm telling you is right or wrong, good or bad. It just is. And the sooner you can adapt to that, the better off you're going to be at getting along with different personalities. Coming back to that high need to direct and outspoken, let's focus on the outspoken for just a minute. Both the peacock and the lion, if a thought pops in their head, guess what? It's coming right out of their mouth. Now, they'll do it differently. A peacock will probably use humor. Cynical humor, sarcastic humor, funny humor, and not so funny humor, but they'll make their point in a light, funny way. A lion, on the other hand, if a thought pops in their head, what they think is what you're going to hear. For example, if you're late to work one day, a peacock would look at you and say, "Hey, glad you could make it to work." A lion will look at you and say, "You know you're late, right?" The interesting part is that both of those personalities are saying the exact same message, but the peacock always comes off sounding a little bit nicer in the process. If you'll bracket the bottom of the chart, the lambs and the owls, and please write low need to direct and introverted. Now, this doesn't mean that the lamb and the owl can't lead or direct. It simply means they choose not to if given a choice. And they're introverted. This does not mean they're unintelligent. It means they're more quiet and more laid back or subdued. But never underestimate the fact that they are well in the know and paying attention to everything that's going on. Now that we've covered the main parts of this, let's take a look at why this becomes a learning point. If you go to Germany, what language would you speak? Well, of course, if you live in Germany, you speak German. But if you went to Rome to take a little vacation, the language would be Italian. Now, for the sake of this analogy, let's just assume that you only speak German and everyone in Rome only speaks Italian. My question is, if you went for a vacation to Rome, would you have a little trouble finding the hotel? Most likely you would. And the reason why is because you have a language barrier. Most people would tell me, look, if I'm going to a country where I can't even speak the language, I'm going to be a little bit prepared. So most of you would do one or more of the following things. You would either buy a translation guide and take it with you, or you would learn enough of the language to ask the important questions, or you would find an app for that. And if you just laughed and said that would be me, I would do one of those things, then you're not alone. The reason why is because every single person, regardless of your personality, doesn't want to go someplace and not be able to get what you want or need. When we talk about personalities, it's very much the same thing. I, for example, am a lion personality. So when I walk into a lamb's office, it's not uncommon that I might intimidate or easily offend a lamb because I'm a very direct communicator. You have to have an idea of what your personality does, yes, but more importantly, we have to have a better understanding of how other personalities talk and communicate in order to have a great working relationship. So what happens when you get, for example, a lion and a lamb working together? Well, let me give you an analogy for that. If I'm the boss and I'm a lion personality and my administrative assistant is a lamb, she's sitting at her desk in the morning, doing her work, and I come in for the morning. I walk through the front door, my blinders come down, I am on task. And if I have to walk right by her desk to get to my office, I can tell you exactly what that's going to look like. I'm going to blow right by her desk, not say good morning, go to my office, and start my busy day. And before long, I'm going to come out and I'm going to say to her, Sue, do you remember those 2 reports we talked about yesterday? I need those today by noon. Hey, thank you very much. Check, check, and off I go. Well, the lamb personality is probably going to have a little bit of a challenge with that because their expectation is that everyone says good morning. I mean, look, you don't go to Lambville and not say good morning to people. That's considered a fate worse than death. But in lion country, we consider it rude if we interrupt someone while they're working. So what does all of this mean? Well, at the bottom point of the whole issue, if you walk into another person's country and you're not speaking their language, you may not get what you want or need. So we have to learn to do better at speaking other person's languages. So if I were to walk past that lamb, you know what I should do? I should say, good morning, Sue. How was your weekend? Oh, I'm so glad to hear it went well. Listen, I'll be right back. Now, I'm still trying to get to my office. Yeah, that's a lion for you. On task. But guess what? I did acknowledge her. And in the lamb world, that's considered polite and common courtesy. So now, instead of sitting out there and brewing and stewing for 4 hours trying to figure out why I'm mad at her, she'll be actively ready to go after the day. I come back out and I say, Sue, I really need your help. And the reason why that's important is because those lambs, well, they're the natural nurturers. So anytime you give them an opportunity to help, you have spoken their language.